Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Scott Selections here for Thursday, September 17th. We're getting today's play that a quick recap of what happened yesterday. On a very limited sports card, we ended up going through a look-ahead parlay, a two-big parlay on the upcoming UFC card this Saturday. So check out that video if you want my UFC thoughts on the upcoming weekend. But for today's play of the day, we're going back to the normal schedule where you have one hockey game, one NBA game, and a couple of baseball games, of course. But for the play of the day, we're going to be looking at the NBA game between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics for Game 2, and the play that is going to be on the Boston Celtics -2.5, which is available on FanDuel at -110. A couple reasons why I'm going to lay the points of the Celtics here. First of all, people, despite the fact that Miami ended up winning Game 1, people seem to forget the fact that Boston dominated the game for about three quarters. Boston was up 12 going into the fourth before blowing the lead and then eventually losing in overtime. So Boston, despite the fact they ended up losing, took their foot off the gas a little bit in the fourth, gave up 35 points in the fourth quarter, 37 points in the second quarter. I expect a little bit of a better defensive effort moving forward, especially after Miami only scored 18 points in the first quarter and 16 points in the second. It's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde effort there from the Celtics, and the Celtics were able to, defensively, and the Celtics were able to score at least 23 points in every single quarter offensively. So I think that Boston has a little bit more consistency when it comes to scoring points in each individual quarter. Second of all, Miami did get a huge boost from Jay Crowder, who shot 7 of 11 in 39 minutes for 22 points. I don't see that happening again. I know Dragic also had 29. Dragic has been very good in the postseason, but I do think Brad Stevens will come up with a better defensive game plan to stop him in his pick-and-roll action with Adebayo. But for the most part, I think those two players should see a reduction in their points. And the Celtics at the same point, Tatum, they don't really have anybody to guard him on Miami. Jimmy Butler tried for a little while. Tatum struggled a bit from the field, still at 30, 14, and 5, so he went off. Jaylen Brown went 6 for 14. He had 17 points, a little bit of a quiet day from him. Marcus Smart was great. He had 26 points, even though I don't expect him to do that again in the future. He does possess a ton of upside defensively, and he had 0 steals and 0 blocks, so I do think that he will make more of an impact on the defensive side of the ball statistically, in exchange for a couple of points lost there. Meanwhile, you also have Kemba Walker, who is the kind of the dark horse candidate for the Celtics to make a deep run and potentially win the championship, because Kemba Walker has been awful in his last couple of games. Played 43 minutes at 19 points, ended up going 6 for 19 from the floor, 1 for 9 from 3. However, he was actually a lot better in the fourth quarter and overtime, so he kind of found his groove a little bit late in that game, and I do think that that will carry over into this game, especially after he announced publicly that he's been playing terribly and needs to play better in the future. So I do appreciate the fact that he did acknowledge it, and I do think that he will make definitive strides here in Game 2. Plus, I don't want to use the must-win angle for Boston here, but Boston knows they ended up letting one slip away from them, and I think it's kind of odd that despite losing Game 1 in overtime, Boston has gone from a 1.5-point favorite to a 2.5-point favorite. It seems like a lot of people agree that Boston kind of let that game slip through their fingertips, and that Boston should be able to bounce back with a Game 2 victory. And I'm one of those people. I think that Boston should be able to do enough offensively, particularly if Kemba's able to step up, or even Jaylen Brown to go for 20-plus instead of 17. I simply think that the Celtics should be in a great position to win this game, especially considering all the defensive adjustments and assuming that Jay Crowder is not going to score 22 points again in Game 2. So for those reasons, the play that I once again for Thursday, September 17th is going to be on the Celtics on the spread at -2.5, which is available on FanDuel at -110. That's been the installment of Scott Selections. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.